Hello everyone, it's Christine here and I am still working on my Roxy Journal of Stitchery needle roll or Huswif or hussif or housewife, depending what you want to call it, but basically a roll. Some are small, mine's definitely on the larger size because I want to fit lots in it, and when I take things away I always find that I'm kind of running out of space in my project bag, so I am intentionally making it large. I've got my little friend Miffy, who I made yesterday and shared a little video on. She's keeping me company. I've now put her little hanger on, and she's going to be very happy in my craft room, not just for Easter, all year round. So I'll try and remember to put a link to that if you want to check out that video. But for this video, I thought I would do a few things, mainly show you how I have created this pouch and what I've done, because I've got a second pouch that I haven't yet put together, and I'm going to use a similar method. So I got these lovely tapestry type placemats at the thrift store in Bright. So someone, I think, had made them by hand. They'd sewn on this sort of calico backing and put a little seam around, and beautifully, lovely worn. They've obviously been really well used, and I thought, wouldn't they make the perfect little pouches to sit across my Huswif? And so this one I have already put together, and so I will show you the makings of that. But first up, I did want to just come back to my little scissor keep and show you how that's been put together, because I realised I didn't properly do that in the last video, even though I planned to. So what I've done for this is used one of these little coasters. I'm trying to see if I've got some loose ones still hiding around. I should always prepare before I come on video. So here's one of them, little, like they sit at the bottom of a wine glass. I have managed to confirm that. And I've just used that, and what I have done is put two buttons on so that the scissors can clip around them. So this is how they would sit when I'm using the needle roll, so that they're easy to kind of get on and off. And the great thing is that the buttons hold them securely in place, so they can't slip up and they can't slip down. Now when I'm transiting with this needle roll, I'm planning to then slip them into this little lower section, open up the scissors, and close it again around, and so they'll stay, they don't go all the way down to the bottom here, and again they just stay really secure. And so it was quite simple. All I did was a stitch across here and across there, so just to the where the center is, just enough to be able to slip the scissors. Why do I keep saying needle? Just enough to be able to slip the scissors in. So as you can see, to about that point and that point, that was all I did. And I just used a nice coloured vintage crochet or pearl cotton, and then with the scissors with the buttons, I positioned one button here and one button up there, and so that just performs the perfect role of holding the scissors in place. And again, just lovely little decorative feature. And I'm also going to be using one of these ones as my little thread holder, so this will get stitched down next to it there. I'm not sure whether we'll get time to do the further stitching of the S on my little Orts collector, which will go down here, but I'll keep it on hand, so if we do have time at the end we can do that. I've got my cup of tea, revitalized puka tea. I think it's like cinnamon and ginger. Still a bit warm. So let's get on to the pouches, I think. Oh, and I've now sewn on my little pin cushion up the top as well, with the little magnets that will catch a needle. If I just drop it, the needle will stay there, which is great. At the moment I've left it so it's flippable. I will probably end up putting some little holding stitches in. I just wanted to first of all think whether I wanted anything to slip under, but probably not, because I don't want to add too much bulk. And I've also stitched my little measuring tape, and so with this again I just stitched across, used one of these but a slightly smaller one, and stitched across here, but left a little gap so that this can't get lost inside. It actually gets stopped by the little fabric gap. and then tried to get this bit just sort of as central as possible. So I will put my needle roll aside for now. I will be coming back in a future video and yeah, doing a few more bits and pieces, at least one more video I think after this to be finishing, but possibly two, who knows. So this is the little pouch that I've created. Because the fabric was sort of, yeah, bobbly on the back, like it had a bit of extra fabric on the back, I decided to do cantha stitching, and I thought, wouldn't it be lovely to add one of the beautiful vintage embroidered doilies as a little interesting detail sort of coming up and just going over that more boring internal surface. I just really like making pouches that have a bit more detail to them, and by putting this on first and then doing the cantha stitching, you don't have to do a huge amount of cantha stitching, and I haven't done cantha stitching inside because I'm not really fussed about what is happening in there. I think these little pouches I'm not going to put a closure on. I think they'll sit fine, and I'll just pop things inside, and when it's all rolled up, I think that will actually hold the pockets pretty firmly based on my sort of prototyping. So I thought we could do one of these very simple ones together. You could just look out for any sort of nice decorative placemats that you can find, and you could apply a similar theory, and I thought this would even make quite a lovely little handbag, or a little bag to sort of, yeah, crossbody bag to carry around. So quite a few applications. Now I'm going to make that actually the bottom of this pouch. It's where there's a little label that's been sewn in between the lining, so I think I'll probably orientate it this way. And then I've found myself this beautiful embroidered doily from the shops, the op shops in Bright or Alpine Victoria as well, and I think I can use it in a similar sort of way. So what I did with this one was I wanted to get the main sort of design, including this lovely little basket, perfect for Easter, and then just have this little bit of the design overlapping, and I think I can do a similar thing here. So I'd want to have this, and we do kind of need to work out where our center-ish spot is. Doesn't have to be totally precise, but let's just put a little fold there. Let's work out where our center is on our well-worn doily. I love how the edges are already sort of starting to fray. So that will be about our center mark. And so I'll probably, I think, put it, maybe just line again these little markings, probably give me a good place to line up something like that. So I think that will work quite well. And again, I think it's yeah, nice colors to go with the design. A bit of blue, which is there, the sort of the creams, the greens, the pinks, the whitey pinks. I mean, it's a bit more of a slightly more vibrant pink, but I think again that will be just a lovely complement. And even though these two doilies, this one's definitely a whiter and this one's more of a is it an ecru colour? Is that what I'm thinking of? I think they'll still be a good next to each other on the roll, or above and below each other on the roll. So let's start by getting our doily stitched down, because that will then give us the area around which we're going to do our cantha stitching, and then it's really simple, just doing a little whip stitch down the edge as well. Now, where have my scissors gone? They have fallen on the floor. I don't know how my scissors always manage to escape from me. Do yours try and do the big getaway? So I might just use a regular sewing cotton just to get the doily tacked down. Oh, the other thing I did on this one was did some little French knots to also, I guess, sorry, I'm going to sneeze. Don't know if I'm going to sneeze now. I just had that moment where I felt like I was going to sneeze, and then I don't know if I'm going to. So excuse me if I do sneeze in a moment. Not sure what's making me sneeze. What was I saying? Using regular sewing cotton to tack down. Oh yes, and on this one, yeah, added French knots to sort of get it all sitting nice and against the surface of the fabric. I think I've run out of words tonight. So I'm just putting a knot in my thread. And will I start on the front or on the back? Are we still pretty happy that we've got it? I'll just put it a smidge over here so we've got these little bits as our guide. Here. That's pretty central, I think. So I'll just keep these little bits here, just on this side, I think. Okay. And so I'll just hide my thread behind my doily, put the knot behind there, get rid of the tail of the knot. And then I think I'll probably just do some little tacking stitches, just popping up and down in the little braided sort of area around the outside. So I'm passing my needle just between the tapestry layer and the lining layer, so it's not going to be showing on the back. And I do that by keeping my finger at the back, and you can kind of guide the needle to do what you want. So where I pop up, I'm then just going one little bit of this little detailing section further along, and then carrying the needle forward a bit. And it should be pretty invisible what I'm doing, because the edge is already a bit sort of frayy. It won't, yeah, definitely won't be noticeable anyway. But as I say, I like that worn look. So yeah, this is a great idea if you don't want to be worrying about unfinished edges. You've kind of got a ready-made pouch almost, and then you can just think about what embellishing you want to do on top. And if it does have the multi-layers like this does, it does make it very easy to stitch things onto it without going through the surface. Although if you're doing cantha stitching, you definitely can go through both layers, but for this piece I wanted to leave the tapestry fronts. They don't need the cantha stitching because they've already got quite a textured and sort of fine grain finish to them. So I hope you're having a great day. It's Good Friday here, so long weekend, and yeah, we've just had a very at-home day today. Took Travis to the park a couple of times, but otherwise, yeah, just were at home and doing a bit of sorting out of things, which was boxes and things. Definitely good to do. It's amazing what you accumulate. I was going through a box of things from all my travels in earlier years, travelling through Europe and the Middle East and Asia and all those little mementos. So cleaned out half the box. Have kept quite a few mementos because I do plan to put together some of it where I haven't done little albums. Just, yeah, keep some mementos, but put them together and not keep them in a box. Have them somewhere where I can look at them and enjoy. And who knows, I might even do a slow stitch sort of a holder for them. That might be a thought as well. Doesn't even have to be a paper journal necessarily. Could be a multimedia travel journal. I'm staying on camera. I might just move it up a bit to avoid the risk that I'm not. So yeah, when you do this little jumping stitch, it doesn't take too long to transit around. Just gonna have another little sip of tea. I hope the sneeze has gone away. Unless it was the tea that made me sneeze. Who knows? Just been watching K3N, who was sharing lovely travels and the exhibition that her friend is in. And before that I'd been watching Martha working on her Huswif, and I'd watched Leanne earlier today, and Creepy Crafty Cutie, who had done this amazing beetle. Now folks, you should go over and check her out, Creepy Crafty Cutie. I'll try and remember to link these folks in the description below. But yeah, did this incredible stump work style beetle. It is amazing and deserves to be seen and looked at. Just yeah, she does really interesting work, so definitely head over there, give her a bit of YouTube love if you can. And just a reminder as well, because a few of my YouTubey friends have been saying it as well, and it doesn't hurt to say it again. You can subscribe to channels and it doesn't cost you anything at all. It's not like a magazine subscription where you have to pay. It's totally free, and all it does is mean that you get notifications of when content is released. When you click the little notification button that goes with the subscribe, or you'll get to see them in your subscriptions section of your YouTube. And it also just helps let YouTube know that the content's of interest to folks, and then they'll share it with other folks. And so the people that are creating the videos then get a bit more engagement on their videos. I know for sort of, content creators, they're all just about kind of, how many views and all the metrics. For those of us that are here for the community and connection, it's obviously more interesting when you've got a wider community of people to share with and chat with and engage with. So I always want to kind of share a bit of love to those that are newer in there. I mean, I'm very new in my YouTubing. There's a lot more people that have been around a lot longer time, but anyone that's creating really interesting things and trying different things, I want to give them a bit of YouTube love. So head over, check those folks out. As always, my good mate Annie Claxton, although I think she's been doing the big craft room cleanse, which we all seem to have to do a few times a year. So she hasn't had a video out for a few days. I keep checking, Annie. If you're watching and you have said you've had the videos on sometimes while you've been sorting out, I'm looking forward to the next Annie installment. Also was watching Linny P on her beautiful Huswif, beautiful colours on hers, and Sally from Dotty B, watching a craft haul from her. I love my own slow stitch hauls, and I love watching other people's too, particularly when they're in other countries as well. I'm always interested to see. So again, I'm just following that same method of stitching around, and there's probably other videos I've watched, so if I haven't mentioned you, it's not that I don't love your videos. It's just that my brain doesn't always let me retain all the information that I'd like my brain to retain. Often afterwards I'll think, oh, why didn't I say that? Now, I look like it's just, this bit's just looking a bit floppy, so even though I don't mind the kind of the vintage look, I think I'll just pop my needle back underneath the fabric, and I might just put an extra stitch or two in here just to anchor it so it doesn't catch if I'm putting things in and out of the pocket. Just give it a bit more strength. And then I'll pop back up to where I was under the fabric, and I can continue on my little way. And of course, I've been watching the Roxy girls themselves, so Sarah and Rachel, who, just so fortunate to have had the chance to meet them. Oh, and of course, Juanette, she's done some more videos since getting back. She's so funny. She wanted to do an interview with me while we were at the retreat together, but I'm not a big one for being on camera. Well, I'm on camera obviously right now, but having my face on camera, I'm not one of those YouTubers that likes the face on camera bit. So I was naughty. Maybe Juanette, that's a little reason to come back next year, and I promise I'll do an interview with you then. If you come back, I'll get over my phobias of being face to face on camera. I think if it was me being face to face on camera, you probably wouldn't get many videos out of me, I don't think. Okay, so that's all stitched down nicely. So next up, I think, what will I do? I think I'll do the cantha stitching next up. So I'll just put some clips to hold this bit where I want it. So yeah, I think that will be nice. Doesn't have to be exactly the same size, but it's pretty even with the other little pocket. And I think I'll use this crochet thread which I used for the other one. It's a vintage one. It's a Coats, and I'm thinking I might crack into some of my thrifted needles that I got at the op shop, which I shared on my last towards the end of my Miffy video, where I had one last haul from Alpine Victoria. So we'll see how good the needles are, but I thought a nice long one might be the go. We'll see. Give it a go. If not, I'll go back to my shorter ones. Oops. So with the cantha stitching, I'm just going to be catching the upper layer and maybe just a tiny bit of the lower, but not going right through to the back. And so what I'm going to do, I think actually, is I'll just hide my thread underneath my doily. So put the knot under there, and then I'll turn it around this way. And as you can see, it's sort of got that, the fabric sits not sort of against the surface. So the great thing about doing the cantha stitching is it will give us that nice surface bedding down. Just gives you a really lovely texture to start to work with, or sort of a lovely finish, like a quilted sort of finish. So as you can see, I'm not going right through to the back, and I'm just keeping my finger under there. So I'm going to now just put a little stitch in and then go down about this far, taking my needle down under the fabric. I don't need to go right out to where the outside stitching is. I can just leave that sort of section as it is. And then again, I'm just going to just do this. I can feel I'm just catching a tiny bit of the under the tapestry back, but because the tapestry is quite thick as well, it's not going all the way through to the front. And I'm just using my finger behind to make sure that that's happening. And so I find it easiest when I'm doing this to just sort of turn it as I go. And so again, I'm just jumping down an approximately equal amount. The great thing about the cantha stitching is it doesn't have to be totally precise. I might even bring it down just a bit so you can hopefully see a bit better. And I'll try and keep an eye on it to make sure I don't go off camera. But yeah, the good thing about a long needle is that you can do that that sort of stacking of the stitches on your needle. And this one seems sufficiently sharp, so that's good. That row wasn't totally straight, so again I'm going to just pass my needle down, just take it a bit further over to start the next row. Oops. Again, I'll pass it down to about there. Then again, just passing it down. it was Martha saying she doesn't mind seeing Cancer stitching on other things, but she's not a big fan of it because she doesn't like kind of obscuring her beautiful fabrics. And I tend to, when I've got a really lovely fabric, I won't use it on that, but for something like the lining here, it's the perfect way to give it some structure and cohesiveness, I think. Obviously better if you don't end up with knots in your thread. But I think we've solved that one. So yeah, I'm just keeping my finger behind it as I push the needle to make sure that the needle doesn't come through to the other side. So always being able to feel that layer of fabric between the needle and my finger. Sort of something you just kind of start to get a feel for. So don't worry if you're trying it out for the first time and it's not quite going as planned. It will get easier. And the great thing is, even if the rows look a little bit bodgy, it's the sort of cumulative effect of it. It will work fine. It will look fine. Oh, which way am I going? That way. See, I didn't have my finger there at that time, and it had started to try and go through to the back. So it definitely helps to have your finger there. So being Good Friday, we had fish and chips and salad for dinner. So that was nice easy dinner for me. It's funny, we had to replace our main air fryer this year because it stopped working, but we bought another one of the same brand and kept the basket that goes with it. But tonight, as I was because we were reheating the chips just to get them nice and crispy before we served them, and the handle came off the cooking basket as I was pulling it out, and it was just so lucky that it happened at that point rather than when I was carrying it across the kitchen to serve the plates. Otherwise we would have ended up with our dinner on the floor. But that was the old basket that we kept. So obviously the lifetime, because it had sort of come away, it has these little there must be some form of a plastic that joins it, and that had come away. Sort of, I think it encases where the screws go through. I would have thought they would have had screws all the way through, but obviously not. So just something to be aware of, folks. I think when the current basket should last a good few years if it's like our last one. But I think as they start to get towards end of life, I might start carrying them across the kitchen and holding them from underneath with a pop mitt as well. It's interesting though that we kind of make things today to be obsolete or to not actually work after a period. I still remember Mum had her Kenwood mixer, and that was still working, and I think it would have still been working. I think she's now mainly uses a Thermomix, but that Kenwood mixer that I think she got for her, she and Dad got it for one of their wedding presents. That was going strong. That was when things were made well. So hopefully you've got your project. This might not be the most exciting video, but sometimes it's good to kind of go over the basics and just how you can work with different materials, because this is a slightly different version of Cantha where you're not going right through to the front, you're just picking up little bits of the front fabric. And as you can see, it just starts to give that really, really lovely look to it. Okay, might actually pop over. Just trying to work out where the line's going. The next line will start from. So yeah, I think it just adds a really, really lovely touch to the inside and just gives a little extra something to look at when you open up the pouch. Almost makes you want to open it because you can kind of see there's something that might be going over. Again, I should go back to doing my holding technique, although it's a bit harder here because I've got the pouch, so I think I'll be able to still feel that I'm not going through to the front. Let's just make sure that's the case, yes. I've got one little bit that's gone through there, but I'm actually not going to worry about that. So you can't even see where that little stitch was, so it probably would have been fine, but I just didn't want to cover my nice design on the front. So I think I'll tie that off there because we're almost out of crochet thread. And then I might, to avoid being totally tedious, I won't do the other side. I don't think. I'll show you how I now stitch up the sides. It's pretty straightforward. Again, I'll hide my thread under the doily, I think. So I've tied it off, and now I'm just going to pass it underneath and just pop it out over here. Hold onto the thread, pull it, let it sort of gather a bit back into the fabric, cut it off, and then you'll end up with the end sitting secreted between your fabrics. So for sewing the sides, I can use either. I might use this crochet yarn because it's pretty strong, I think. Stronger than a cotton. And so yeah, if we do this, I should be able to then show you the orts, how I'm stitching into the lace work to make the orts little writing, so we can come back to that. And we might even be able to do the wrapping of one of the little hooks as well. Let's see. So for this, again, I'll just secrete my little taily bit right down the bottom. I'll just cut off the extra bit of cotton that I don't need. And then I'm just going to, again, I think I'll be able to use this long big needle because I think that will just be good to push through. And if you were really struggling to catch like if the tapestry or whatever the placemat bit that you were working on was too hard to catch, you could just try and catch the inner bits of fabric, but I think going through the tapestry will just help to, again, give it strength. And so I'm just doing a stitch from one side to the other, just really a whip stitch over the sides. Again, you could do a ladder stitch if you wanted it to be a bit more invisible, but that could be a bit harder as well. As a beginner, this is a pretty easy stitch to do. And it just brings the two sides cohesively together. If you want to ever add extra strength, you can then sort of tie it off and then do a second lot of stitches over the top. But as I say, I think this will be strong enough because the crochet thread's pretty strong. And then that will be good because a lot of the elements are then getting done, so it will then just be a matter of getting things stitched down and thinking about any final elements that I want to add. I did have some ideas after the last video. What were they? Oh, I do need to, I'll show it actually in the next video. I did want to add a needle threader, even though I don't often use them. I received a really sweet little one from Rachel at the when I was at the art retreat. So Rachel from Roxy Creations, and so I've used that and added that to the needle book pocket made out of the beautiful blue blanket. So I'll make sure to show that, or I might show that. I'll show that at the end actually, if I remember, or I might show that next. Who knows? Because that way I should remember. So let me get this side done, and then we can do that, and then we can, yeah, do the orts. So I get so excited about all the different things, and then I end up forgetting some things. Take the clip off because it's holding together well enough that I don't need the clip, and it's going to be easier to do the stitches without the clip there. So again, yeah, this is a great using a placemat. Takes away the problem of having to worry about raw edges, gives you a nice little surface to then add things to. And if it's a pretty placemat to begin with, yeah, it's already doing some of the work for you. And if it's a worn and old placemat, then you've got that lovely vintage feel to it too. I just love that it looks like someone used yeah, fabric samples themselves to make these. So who knows how old the actual, yeah, fabric samples might be. I often use my felt mat to help push my needle through if it's going through a particularly thick bit. And so these have a little curve up, so I'll probably just take the stitches, oh sorry, so you can see it, I'm just going to probably stop the stitches here, so I'll put one last stitch in I think, and then do a few little tie-offs. So I quite like, even though the crochet is a little bit thicker, it just gives a really nice little finish down there. So let's just do a couple of last little stitches to make sure that it holds nicely. So another one, and then we can secrete our thread inside again. Just managed to unthread my big needle, but that's fine. Definitely don't need a needle threader for this size of needle. So what I'll do here is just, I might just weave my thread down a few underneath and over a couple of threads under, pop it out in here, and then I'll just pop it through into the fabric, pop it out of here, and then chop it, and it will disappear into the fabric like that. So that will end up being our once I've done the cantha stitching on the other side, it'll be just like this, and I can decide, this one's sitting pretty flash and nice. I don't know if I need to do the little bobbly stitches in the middle of it. It seems to be yeah, sitting a bit better than this one, which was a bit more puffing up, so I'll probably leave that, yeah, leave that one as is, but do the cantha stitching and do the stitching down the side. So while I remember, let me show you. I just need to get to the bottom of my needle roll. So I have now sewn on the little bird pocket, and I've also sewn on the needles pocket. Let me get the length out of the way. And I have added some needles in. I've sewn a little pocket to hold my my felting implements. So this one fits nicely. If I clip it against this little tube, that fits well in there. And so I've just put it that way. And then this one, I've made a little tube for it, put a T for top. And this is just my little single felting tool. And that just means that I won't stab myself with them. And I've done some little stitching down here, so they've each got their own individual pocket. I've got some needles along here. I've got the space where I can put my needle packets. And then I had this beautiful little needle threader that Rachel gave me. She gave me two actually, I think. And I've thought it would be fun, because this is in the shape of a little umbrella, I've made a little rainbow shaped doily feature. Well, I actually just used an edge off a doily. I think I'd already used, oh no, I've only used the one off here. Again, one of the doilies I got in the op shops. And I've just stitched that down so it just stitches sort of either side and just creates this little space where the umbrella can come in and out, but the umbrella can't go any further through than that. So I think that's, yeah, that's a lot of fun, and I think it's going to, yeah, look really lovely. Really happy with my little bird pocket. That's just going to be a little open pocket. The needle pocket has the little flip on it. So let's now show you how I am doing this bit. So I had to sort of work out a way to kind of wrap the lace work, and I'll show you how I'm doing that. Hopefully I can remember to do it properly. So I'm going to pop up one stitch at one point down from where I want to start my S, which will be over here. So start my S there. I've just put a little knot in the end of the wool, and then I'm going to come back one point behind it. I wonder if I should bring you down even a bit further. Just excuse me for a moment while I do that. I've got a little dry bit of skin on my thumb. And so then I'm going one step back and then going one step forward with the needle. And that's creating a little over loop. And then I'm going to do the same. So I'm going to go one back from where my wool is and one step forward. And I'm using a tapestry wool, which is thicker than like a crewel or Appleton's wool. And again, and then one step back and one step forward from where the wool is coming out. Except I just forgot that I'm actually doing the letter S, so I'm going to actually need to not keep just going down straight. I'm going to need to turn the corner. I was just getting totally carried away there, wasn't I? So let's just unwind a step or two. So I need to probably go back another step, I think. Because we'll need to turn the corner for the S before that. Isn't it funny when you get stitching and you just kind of forget what you're actually doing, and you're just like, yeah, I'll keep going like that. Let's try not to break up our thread either, ideally. Okay, and I probably still need to unwind one more step like this. And so then we'd come across and down and across. So I think that will be fine. How many up and down do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4. Probably along there is fine. Just trying to work out. If we go along there, maybe one more actually. Or do we just go across? I think maybe actually when we go across that will create it. And in fact I should have actually done, should have probably started over there, but that's okay. Let's just, I think I can still do what I need to. So I'm just going to pass my wool up the back. Because generally you want to do your letter in a continuous sort of order. But what I'm now going to do is I've passed up the back and I'm going to do the top of the S here. So I'm just going to go one across, and then I'll do that same process of one back and then one forward. And one back, one forward. Where I don't have the little holes, I'm kind of having to make a little hole where it's sort of got a covered in section. Because this doily has these little squares where they've kind of stitched in. So I think if I've done that, I think that will give me a good top of the S. And then again I might need to, I think I'll need to pass it back now to where I want to then go across. Okay, so then I think I want to pop, so I'm popping out one across from where I want to start that middle row of the S, and then we do that same process of going one back and then coming out one forward, going one back and coming out one forward. So always one behind and one in front of where the actual wool is poking out of the fabric when I'm talking back and forward. Okay, and then to turn the corner, so we now want to be coming down here. So I want to go down one, I think, let's just check how this looks. No, so hang on. Let's get back to where we were. So we were there. So I think I'll just take the needle back through the previous one and then bring it down to here, and then I think we can begin the downward process. So one behind and one in front. Is that pretty much lined up? I think so. Oops. Don't come out the same hole that the wool's coming out. What have I done there? I think I've made a little knot, but I'm sure we'll continue on as though that didn't happen. Okay, and then we're down to the bottom section. So now we go on a diagonal across. So that's popped. So that's where the thread is, and we're going to go to the square next to it. And then we do the same process. So one behind, out one front, along the bottom. So once you get into the go of it, I mean, you could do whatever kind of wrapping. This is just the one that I found gave the nicest, sort of finest effect. And then I'll just do a finishing stitch where I take it to the back. I think that's okay. Probably a little bit. I think that's pretty good. If I put it straight, it will actually look better for you, won't it? I could have like curved the S's, but I think it does the job for spelling out oughts, or spelling out loose threads, for those that might not have come across the word oughts before. Yeah, no, that's good. I am happy with that. And what I've done at the back is, if the sort of where the knot is sticking out too much, I can just do a little bit of stitching with just regular cotton over it. But I think that's going to work fabulously as a place to put my threads when I'm working in the car. And yeah, just keep them secure. So that is the oughts, and I think that's probably enough of my video for today. And I'll come back, and hopefully by then I will have got some more things stitched down, and we can just do some finishing touches. I'll save the wrapping of the little holder to next time, and I've still got to stitch together my little fabric holder where I can put my fabric scraps in. So I'll do that before we get together next time as well. Thanks everyone.